All right, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Emily Chon. I'm Executive Director of the American Beauties Native Plants, and we are so excited to have you join us today as we discuss why American Beauties. With us today is Tim Kane from Pride's Corner Farm. Pride's Corner is one of the American Beauties licensed growers and also co-owner of American Beauties. The other licensed growers are Midwest Ground Covers, Saunders Brothers, Willoway Nurseries, and Sunset Farmstead. So as you have questions throughout this program, keep in mind you can always contact your sales representative at any one of those licensed growers for more information. Also, as we move through today's presentation, please note you will be muted just to prevent background noise, but you are able to share questions, comments, and ideas as we move through today's discussion. I will be moderating the chat box, and at the end of today's meeting, I will come back on and ask Tim any of your questions. So find that chat box near the bottom of your screen, click on a button called chat, and share any questions you have. And I will turn it over to Tim Kane with Pride's Corner Farm to tell us a bit more about American Beauties. Thank you, Tim.
Well, thanks, Emily. And so I'm going to be obviously sharing a nice PowerPoint here, but here we go. And a little bit about myself, maybe. So for those of you who don't know me, but Pride's Corner has been involved in American Beauties native plants since its inception. And it doesn't seem that long ago, but it was about 15 years ago, to be honest with you, that we started the American Beauties native plant program. And, it's interesting always looking over a period of time when you're involved in something like this. When we first got involved in this, we were pretty fired up about it, and we had a great partner in North Creek Nurseries and Steve Castorani to start this with, and we thought we had a great idea, and it is a great idea. But sometimes great ideas take a long time to seem like they're great for everybody else. And I'll have to say that right now, native plants is that great idea whose time has come for everybody involved, not only in our industry, but for consumers as a whole. It really resonates out there right now. And it's a great time. It's a great time for everybody to be talking about and selling native plants. And I don't know how many of the people that are on my talk here that just saw Doug Ptolemy that talked at 1 o'clock. He's a hard act to follow. So I'm cognizant of that, and I'm also cognizant that there's no one that is that can really talk as much and as well about native plants and what they bring to our world than him. So I'm honored to follow him, but there's still a piece that has to happen with you guys at the garden centers, for those of you who are out there like that. And there has to be a way, quite honestly, that you turn that great message into selling these native plants. And we feel that American Beauties native plants is your answer for that. So my goal here today is really to talk about that and to share what we feel are the high points and what you can take advantage of out there and make your customers happy, empower them, and make them feel like you're a hero. I mean, because you're providing that empowerment to them. So that's a big mantle of responsibility for me to do that, but for you guys also. But it's easier than you think, and that's my job today to try to tell that to you. So let's get started. So talking about native plants, honestly, we feel that American Beauties native plants is the most unique and inspiring brand on the market today. Every branded product out there in the market, we sell lots of them, and lots of them are great, but they almost always revolve around a single plant or a group of plants that share a quality. And we know as producers, and as garden centers, many of those brands that you're selling very well out there. But what makes American Beauties native plants unique is that we have a great idea. It's based in all these plants, but it's an idea that is a feel-good idea for your customers, and it's something that will make them able to change their world. That's very important today because, you know, let's be honest with you, especially in this COVID year, there's a lot of powerlessness out there. People are gardening more, I would tell you, because they feel that it's an area that they can control, they can make a difference. And our message at American Beauties Native Plants, and the message of native plants, is part of that empowerment. So I think we're in a unique place, and it puts you as a garden center in a unique place also to be able to capitalize on that. So here's 6 reasons, and I've sort of talked about a couple of them already, but here's our 6 reasons why you should join the American Beauties native plant movement and the native plant movement as a whole. So reason 1, quite honestly, is that American Beauties allows you to sell more native plants to your customers that are hungry for native plants. Now, in looking at this picture, you know, let's face it, we know dogs, and dogs are sometimes can be hungry for any plant. Maybe the natives are better tasting to some of these dogs, but this dog, I'm hoping, has left these plants alone. But your customers are hungry like that. Maybe not for eating those plants, but for using them. And they've heard that message out there. The consumer is out there, and it's taken a long time. Believe me, I told you that story about how long we'd been active in American Beauties and when we set up the brand. And 15 years ago, there wasn't this groundswell of people out there that all of a sudden were paying attention to this message. And frankly, it probably was not until about 5 years ago when people really started paying attention. And some of it was just because of a lot of those articles that were out. I remember a cover of Time magazine at that time talking about bees dying, and it was something that came together. I think it was at the end of 2017 that really galvanized people, and people started thinking about it. And it's a good thing they did. So it allows you to sell more native plants to a consumer that's hungry for them right now. It empowers consumers, I've used that word already a couple times, to make a difference in their backyard. You know, the great message that Doug had today, which I circled many times when I was taking notes during that talk, is that the single person can make a difference. And how many things in this world today do people think that they can actually make a difference with? But in listening to Doug's message, planting the native plants, being able to contribute to, you know, he talked a lot about the caterpillar population, the need for caterpillars to feed native birds in the area. It was a great talk like that, but this all has to do with things that you can do in your own yard. And these native plants that are in the American Beauties Native Plants program allow your customers to do that. So it empowers your customer. It also, and this is kind of a hidden value here, you know, it's so funny what happens at garden centers. You know, garden centers have sold native plants for a long time. There's no doubt about it. I mean, way back when in another generation, I worked at a garden center. That was 24, 25 years ago. And we sold some of these same plants that are in American Beauties Native Plants at that point. It's just they kind of hid in the nursery. You know, someone would come in and ask for native plants, and you know, you'd see some of the help try to run away when that happened because no one really knew a whole bunch about that. And I would say that today with the help situation at garden centers and your staff, your hardworking staff, especially hardworking in this year of this past year of 2020, a lot of times it's just hard for having those people know that much about native plants. Well, the great thing about our displays is that it has information that people can use and that your staff can use, and to help the consumer and to pass on more knowledge to the consumer. They're hungry for it right now. And the American Beauties displays has this both in handouts, as you can see on the left here, talking about native bees, and on the tags, which I'll have to say, I still think is one of the most informative, great reading tags on the market for a consumer and for the staff at a garden center. So very important there. Reason 4, it's the only IGC brand on the market whose message is about solutions for a better world. That sounds so Pollyannish. I mean, you know, let's face it. It's great to have people plant plants. They are helping their world, but this is connected to a bigger message out there with people, I think. And there's nothing better than having a message that's out there that is referring to something that you guys at the IGCs bring to the table. And that is, you have these native plants and you can be that hero that provides that solution, to these people coming to your place. And that's powerful, if you ask me. So it's a brand, we've made it as such. We live this message. We believe in the things that Doug Tallamy said, and we know that this is the way that you guys can make a better world, and your customers can. I think that's big. 5, well, American Beauties, we have to steal something from out there, so we've stolen easy button, but this is the easy button to capitalize on native plants at the garden center. It's as simple as that. And how is that the case? Well, you know, people are coming into you because they're hearing things like Doug Tallamy here. They're buying these books. Yeah, you know, I didn't even know this. I should have, but when Doug was being introduced, I didn't realize that Nature's Best Hope, the book that's pictured here, was in the top 20 bestseller on the New York Times list. That's huge. That tells you that people are really paying attention. And you know, his message here is about creating this hometown national park in your own backyard. And you're going to see that there's a new website out there that's Homegrown, hometownnationalpark.org, I believe is it. And you and your customers as native plant growers can go on there and interact, put in their yards, and end up showing up on a map of the United States. You know, Doug made this point that 80% of the property in I think it was the United States, is privately owned. So if we're going to do something to help out pollinators, it really is the homeowners that it starts with. So that's a good way to make that message resonate with consumers. And here is the Homegrown National Park website. And you know, we can do this. You're right. It's an empowering message. But you know, after listening to Doug talk, is that we have a responsibility to do this. So you need something like American Beauties native plants to fulfill that responsibility, as do your consumers. So the homeowners possess the land to make this happen, and they have the will to make a difference. You just have to take advantage of that will to make a difference. And like I said, you're the guys. You're the people that can help it out and to make the dreams of the consumer come true. I mean, it's always been that people come to independent garden centers for inspiration, to really get the help that they need, and to leave with something that they feel like they can accomplish. You know, it's so funny. I tell people all the time that that going to garden centers is one of the most fearful thing that a consumer can do. Without things like American Beauties native plants and other programs, people go into garden centers and they see green plants. You know, we know all this stuff. They have an idea that they want to help, and they need to be able to be inspired by you and directed by you to be able to fulfill their dream of of making a difference. And that's where you guys definitely come in. And that's where an American Beauties display comes in, quite honestly, because it's an immediate anchor for them and for your people, your staff, to direct people to. So you definitely make a difference, and you're a strong part of this whole message that was talked about by Doug Ptolemy and what we have been talking about with American Beauties native plants for these 15 past years. Reason 6, American Beauties native plants is the program that can help provide that inspiration. I mean, you know, it's inspiring to see pollinators in a yard. You know, there was a question that was asked. I'm sorry if you guys weren't there, but I'm referring back to Doug's thing. And the inspiration, I asked him what was the personal relationship with nature that was developed. And he said, I got to tell you, I remember one from my youth. Talking about frogs and pollywogs. And I just love seeing that when I plant stuff that I can go out in the yard and see all these different things coming in. And he's a caterpillar buff. And he was really fired up about that. You know, when customers believe in stuff, they get fired up about this. You're going to have people that are going to say, you know, this is the best thing that I ever did in my house, at my yard. And the great thing is that it's helpful. So you can help those consumers make a difference in their world. And by doing that, you're making a difference in your world. So those are 6 great reasons why American Beauties is really that tool that helps make native plants and connects IGCs with the consumers that want to work with native plants and become basically a native plant island in their neighborhood. So how do you realize the power of American Beauties native plants? Well, you know something? It's a display. It seems simple, and displays are always one of those things at garden centers that can be difficult at times. You know, when you're busy, as busy like you were this year and in 2020, this past year in 2020, doing this display can be difficult. There's just no two ways about it, because guess what? When you put those plants on a display, they sell. So here's the top 5 reasons why you should use a display. Now, of course, American Beauties native plant growers are going to pay you to display. And we'll talk a little bit more about this afterwards, but you know, we will definitely give you money to put those plants out there. And we're so convinced that it's going to help that message of native plants to get out to your consumers, and that you're going to be so successful with it that we have no problem paying you to put up this display. So displaying American Beauties in one area is proven to increase native plant sales. Now I go back to my my story that I had about the native plants mixed up in the garden center that I worked at. Well, you know, they are in one place there. People are coming in and looking at native plants. For native plants, you don't have to send them to 5, 10, 12 different places in the nursery, nor do you have to lead them there, because let's face it, alone, they may look like just another green plant, that kind of thing. So this is a great tool to increase native plants. Well, native plant sales. So you ask, well, is it really true? You know, what's really the research? And we only know our research here at the brand, and that is that 83% more plants were sold in 2020 by garden centers that had set up a display for the first time, and compared to what they did in 2019. Now that's pretty powerful, and you can sit there and say, okay, listen, my garden center had a great year this year. They really had a great year. So maybe I would have gotten some of those sales anyway. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but 83% is a little bit more than you can than you can excuse just by saying we had a lot more people at our garden center. So it's proven that if you put those native plants in a display that your customers see, you're going to sell more American Beauties native plants. So let's get back to that easy button here, is because there's once you steal a good icon like this, you might as well use it a number of times. So it's the easy button for IGC customers looking to buy natives to change their world. They can find the stuff in one place. Why is that such a simple, such a difficult concept to think about? If you are shopping for anything in the world, you as a consumer, you want it to be easy. So why wouldn't consumers looking for native plants want it to be easy? It's just logic, simple logic, that would be the case. And again, it's the easy button for your staff. Just think about your garden center this past spring. Just think about how you were torn back and forth. You never really seem to have enough people. You're going to be overrun by customers. You have a line of people at checkout patiently waiting, snaking around the garden center. I mean, really, don't you want to make things easy for your staff? I mean, do you want your customer to come in and be disappointed because they need to be led to all those native plants that you have selling out in your nursery? Or do you want to say, hey, see that display over there? It's right there. There's a number of native plants right there. There's great information on it. And why don't you take a look over there, and I'll follow up as soon as possible. But you're giving those people something to make it easy for them, and making your staff breathe a sigh of relief, because there's a lot of crises going on at the garden center that maybe they were able to solve better because of that. It's easy to direct customers. It puts all the native plants in one place, but we've showed you some great pictures here. There's a lot. It even helps with the atmosphere of your garden center. There's some great looking displays here. And I think that makes you more shoppable at your garden center and makes it easier for people to do what you want them to do, which is to fill up a wagon and leave with a full wagon. Empowering your sales staff. We talked about this earlier. All the information, it's right there at your fingertips. It's great. It's great POP. It's colorful. Who doesn't love butterflies? Who doesn't want butterflies? I mean, let's face it. Everybody wants butterflies to their yards. It's actually one of the biggest things that maybe have gotten people into buying native plants and putting in their yard. They love the idea of that. I mean, and that's a great idea. It's also, along with that idea comes this whole idea of the caterpillars that are specialized for feeding on particular things and feed the bird population. All this comes from maybe this thought about having just these beautiful butterflies and moths in their yards. So this information is great for the customers. It's also great for your team. Reason 4, and this is something that a lot of times we just don't think about that much, but it allows you to be able to put on a unique promotion at your garden center. I think it's a perfect thing. Many garden centers have done this well. I believe this picture comes from Evergreen up outside of Stowe, Vermont, who has done this now for, I believe, 5 or 6 years in a row, and it's one of their biggest weekends of the year, and they swear by it. And as you can see, they can have fun with it. It's not the clearest picture, but I always love. I have a soft spot in my heart for people that are lecturing, talking to customers, and have butterfly wings on, or bee costumes, or flowers, one of those little flower headbands around there. It's an opportunity to get people to pay attention. It's also opportunity, quite frankly, to connect with all these people that every town has that talk about conservation. They're talking about native plants themselves. It connects the dots, and you become a resource for all those people just by having this great event that's going on at your garden center. Now, the one thing that I will say, which is I think one of the best things about native plants, and American Beauties native plants has taken great advantage of that, is that there's Pollinator Month. Almost everybody in our industry knows that June is Pollinator Month, and I'll have to say that the world has become acquainted with June being Pollinator Month. It's promoted heavily, even mainstream, outside of the usual garden publications, talks about Pollinator Month, and it has a consciousness level for consumers that's great. So why is this so important in June? Well, I always think about what goes on at garden centers in June, and that is that it's still busy, but people are sort of they might be played out for the year. They're starting to think that maybe I should go to the beach, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this. This is an opportunity for you as a garden center to hold on to those customers longer and to give them something else to be excited about. And frankly, customers, no matter what, want to be excited when they come to your place. It's probably one of the reasons they're coming to your place anyway, is because you found a way to excite them. This is another way. You can be the king of Pollinator Month in your town, in your area. So it's about the time when people are starting to think of other things, and here you are, you're able to make them think longer about plants and your product. I think that's just one of the best things that could ever come out of this, and someone's doing some of the work for you to get people to your garden center. You just have to take advantage of what's already out there, and people are going to be instantly familiar with that. There's less of that repetition that's going to be needed to get people to come in and see your place. And as I said, it's always great to have some fun with it. You do have to have fun with doing this. It's the best way for your staff. Your staff gets involved. They love doing it. And let's face it, customers that are happy and are having fun, they come back. They remember that they had a good time at your place. They want to come back because of that. So there's the hosting an event and sticking with it is one of the best things. And American Beauties native plants is one of those great tools that can help you do that. And of course, maybe leaving for some people, the best reason for last is that we will pay you for putting up your display. You can speak to any of the 5 licensed growers for American Beauties native plants in your area. They're all a part of this program, and we are happy to get you money for doing the right thing here. Last year, we gave back tens of thousands of dollars to our people that set up displays. So get in line. There's no reason why you shouldn't get paid for doing what you're already doing, which is selling native plants. So that's a very quick look at why we think American Beauties native plants is so important to you at the garden center, and what you can do to take advantage of that. So our growers, Midwest Ground Covers, Pride's Corner Farms, that has the fuzziest logo of the bunch. I'll have to get that fixed. Saunders Brothers, Sunset Farmstead, and Willoway Nurseries are your go-to places for purchasing American Beauties native plants and to get involved in our paid display program. So I would encourage all of you to talk to any of us about this, and to really, if you're already selling native plants, set up a display, and if you're not selling native plants, to get on board, because quite honestly, you're missing the boat out there right now. People are engaged for this message, and if they're engaged, you have to be engaged. So I really appreciate the time. I bet there's there might be a few questions out there, but you know, our website, you can see our Facebook page, and of course, Emily, who introduced me, you can email her to get more information. But I want to thank you for being on board here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tim. That was excellent. A reminder to share your questions here in this chat box. We've had one, it's more of a comment than a question, but I thought the idea was so good that we needed to share it out with the group. Nathan mentioned that he used the best native plant brochures to create a scavenger hunt for National Pollinator Week this year. It was a small informal activity to engage kids at the garden center while their parents shopped, which I thought was a great way to repurpose those brochures and get kids interested in the plants.
You know, that's a great point, Emily. And, you know, for all those people who are so worried about, you know, what's the next generation going to do in the garden, I got to tell you that native plants and all that life they bring to the garden, and the butterflies, the caterpillars, the birds, that's so engaging for kids. And it's a wonderful idea for, you know, it's great for adults. Obviously, the adults have caught on, but if you want to keep kids interested, that's like a super thing to get kids engaged with. Whether they're 2 years old or 10 years old, there's interest there in being out there in their own yard or coming to the garden center and doing that.
We have a couple more questions. The one I think is more of a clarification, a question about pay to design, wanting to elaborate on that. It's the pay to display program for the IGC.
That is correct.
Displays.
That's correct. If I said design, then you know, I was a little disengaged there, I guess, thinking one thing and saying another. So my apologies there. But it's paid display program, and any of the American Beauties native plant licensed growers will have information on that, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that.
And we have one more question here asking if the American Beauties plants are produced clonally or grown from seed.
That's a great question. And I would say that there's a number of them that are grown from seed, and there's some of them that are grown clonally. There's no doubt about that. It is a mixture of different plants for sure. And, you know, in listening to Doug's talk, he was talking about that, and a question that he answered also about clonal things. And you know, it takes a wide palette of stuff to create a garden and a landscape. So according to Doug, there's room for each, and we have each in the program.
Sounds good. And one more question has just come in, so we'll finish with this as the last question. Wondering if American Beauties is engaged at all with organizations that host or promote National Pollinator Week, such as the Pollinator Partnership and different groups of that nature.
Well, that's a great question. And the American Beauties Native Plants has been very generous in giving to many of these groups out there. And I mean, Emily mentioned a couple of them that American Beauties has contributed to, and you know, for all of you that may or may not know, the American Beauties ownership has an HRI fund that they're funding research in native plants through that fund. The idea of this is to really promote the message of native plants and make it easier for other people to promote that message also. So we are doing our best at American Beauties to support those things, to further this message in our industry and our world.
Sounds great. Well, Tim, thank you very much. I hope everyone appreciated and learned something from today's discussion. We would love to be able to answer any other questions you have or share more with you about American Beauties. So reach out to either myself at the office or to one of our licensed growers and their sales teams. We'd love to talk with you all more, and otherwise, have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you, everyone.